Congressman Luetkemeyer from Missouri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A while ago, Dr. DiLorenzo, you talked about another bubble coming. Can you elaborate on just a little bit?
Well, with all the so-called quantitative easing that the Fed is engaging in, it's more of the same policy that created the real estate bubble in the first place. And at that time, it reallocated a lot of capital into housing and housing-related industries. And so even if we're not seeing price inflation, we've got all this credit out there, the potential for lending, and of course the banks aren't lending as much as a lot of people would like to see them lend. And so we can't really predict where the next bubble will be, but it was in the stock market, before the housing bubble, there was a stock market bubble, and the Fed responded to that bubble with the policy of low interest rates that created the housing bubble. And so I fear that we're going to have another one because the amount of the money that's being put in circulation is orders of magnitude greater than what the Greenspan Fed did, but no one can forecast or predict, what industry is going to hit. And so I'm afraid I can't help you there, but I'm pretty confident that we should be worried about it.
Okay, what you're saying, though, is that as a result of the money supply, there will be another bubble because you are put into the system some sort of anomaly that will cause something else to happen somewhere else, such as in...
Yes, well, what happened with real estate is the low interest rates made it much more profitable to invest in long-term investments when interest rates go down, and so all that money and resources poured into real estate especially, and it ended up not being as
Do you have a best guess? Do you have a best guess where it may happen next?
We have some criteria. Like one of the reasons why I think it happened in real estate and was such a catastrophe was all these new products and new financial products, and there were a lot of people who really were confused by them. And so just as a general rule, in industries that are relatively new, where there's uncertainty on the side of the consumer, that's where the trouble can be. And so that might lead to a lot of possibilities. But I don't have any particular industry that I could, maybe Professor Vetter does, but I don't.
I think economists who make predictions are foolish.
Are there a lot of Fed economists around?
A lot of failing economists?
No, aren't there a lot of economists at the Fed?
There are a lot, and there are a lot of mistakes that are made. You know, my Dr. Bivens mentioned with great admiration Christina Romer, whose most famous quote in modern times was her quote early in 2009 when she said, if the stimulus package passes, the unemployment rate will not go above 8%. Well, it's at 9 now and been to 10. And so but I agree with Tom that we have a ticking time bomb out there, and exactly what the shape of the disaster will be, I don't know. We have $1 trillion, we have these mammoth excess reserves of banks. And Dr. Bivens is actually right. He's absolutely right. We haven't had a huge amount of inflation now. And it is true people aren't spending a lot of money now. Why aren't they spending money? Is it because interest rates are too high? No. It's because they're scared. They're just downright scared. They're scared because, oh, we don't know this Obamacare, what it's going to do to us. We've had regime change. People are scared. We're not used to big changes all at once. And because of that, but we have the potential for a disaster.
Very good.
And who knows?
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Bivens, you made a comment a while ago. We were discussing Japan, and they've had many, many influxes of cash into their economic system, you know, QE 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, and you made the point that it was able, as a result of that, to sort of help keep inflation low. My concern is, and interest rates low, and my concern is that their economy still is struggling, and it's been that way for 15, 20 years. If QE 2 is supposed to be the end-all to be-all to help us create jobs and get our economy going, how do you correlate those two?
Well, if you look at Japan, it's pretty much had a lost decade of the 1990s, and they were sort of riven with internal debate about just how aggressive to get with monetary policy, and they never actually did sort of the unconventional large-scale asset purchases that the Fed has been doing.
Yeah, but didn't they put a lot of money into the system, though?
I mean, if they kept interest rates very low, yes.
Well, that's my point. my point is, if we go along with the Fed's mindset here of, and policy of throwing more money into the system, and we look at Japan as an example over many years and over many QE2s or QE1s or whatever, and it didn't really do what we were hoping that this QE2 over here is going to do, what's the thought process that would lead one to believe that ours is going to be different than theirs?
It won't be different. They only saw a real recovery between 2002 and 2008 when they started doing the QE2s. Before that, they sat at 0, but they did no more. They said, we can't do anything else unconventional. You just don't do that. Everyone, not everyone, many people said, no, the economy needs more. When they finally started doing more on the monetary side, they actually saw a pretty decent recovery, 2002 to 2008. Then, of course, everybody globally went into the Great Recession.
Okay, I see my time's up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.